35 Weirdest Escape Room Stories, according to Reddit. For those who don't know, an escape room is an actual physical room that people go into and try to escape. It's an adventure game where people use clues, hints, and strategy to escape. Special thanks once again to Lexeus, who is enabling me to replace some of the equipment that I would not be able to record these without. So, number 35. I work at an escape room, and here's just a few of the way too many things I've seen. In one of our rooms, you unlock a chest that has 4 water bottles. You have to pour them into a big fish bowl with a thin neck, so you can reach your hand in and pull a bottle out. On them, it specifically says, "Do not drink." Guy thought it was commanding him to drink, and without hesitation, straight up started drinking one. My face when it's literally ocean water because the room is pirate themed. In a prison escape room, a guy and a girl were doing it alone and looking for a way too real experience and argued over who should be able to go to put the handcuffs for the whole game. What? Wasted 10 minutes doing that. Handcuffs get jammed and stuck on the girl. Had to call the fire department to get them off. Oh no. Guy had called us way ahead of time and said he's going to propose to his girlfriend in the room. We help him set up a custom box in the room and alter a puzzle. He proposes early on in the room. She says no straight up. Then they awkwardly finish the room. Why didn't they just call it off? Meanwhile, when they got out, I had to go up and weirdly congratulate them on getting out and guide them out through the door. Worst 10 minutes of my life. Another room is a ransom type room where your child has been kidnapped. And when the people, all in their 30s and 40s, popped open the secret room where the kidnapper was hiding, a lady literally shit herself when she saw the mannequin kidnapper. Straight up shitting herself right there. I let my manager deal with that. I'm no shit toucha. Okay. That's number 35. What the hell? Number 34. I'm not an escape room employee, but I tried one in Budapest. A specifically stated rule was that we wouldn't have to physically move anything to solve the various puzzles. Anyway, there was one sort of library room that upon entering, my pathetic party of Welsh boys and Irish girls on a pissing tour immediately began ripping all of the books off the shelves in a mad, savage attempt to find some sort of code. About 15 seconds into the room rape, the middle-aged Hungarian dude working as a guide disappointingly reminded us over the intercom that our actions were ultimately unnecessary to solving the cursed room. Needless to say, we felt a bit foolish. Jesus Christ. Number 33. Don't work at one, but we did a zombie escape room for my bachelor party. Although I'm lame and it was just my family plus my soon-to-be wife. There's nothing lame about that. I love the idea of a bachelor or bachelorette party that involves your spouse. That is true love. When we got there, there were 2 other kids there, early teenagers from the looks of them, and a little gawky and weird, but they seemed excited to be there, and hey, maybe they'd help out. Then we get to the part where we have to give our names, and they have apparently named themselves military ranks. Also, they're saluting. Okay, that's weird. The person who brought them both was their aunt from the sound of it, and she just sat there on her phone in the waiting room, looking pissed off that this was even happening. Over the course of the introduction, it became increasingly apparent that these kids were severely on the spectrum. That's autism, baby. That's autism, baby. And probably should not have been doing something like this without a full group of friends and family. Oh, worse, they're probably like, Jude, they're probably like, like really mentally monkeyed up. That's messed up. Well, they got a family at least. My family. Anyway, we get in there, and it's pretty neat. Sorry. There's a zombie actor on a chain who will try and crawl at people and tag them. Every now and again, a buzzer sounds, and she goes back into a room, and the chain extends another few feet, and she comes back. So you have to have zombie distractors by singing and puzzle solvers. Apparently, though, our two sidekicks are absolutely terrified of zombies. They shrieked and pushed themselves against the farthest wall possible. One of them pooped himself at some point. They spent the rest of the match cowering behind my mother, who had become their unofficial mom. In the end, I just ended up pissed off that their aunt, who just sat on her phone in the waiting room the entire time, letting them be terrified. I can't imagine what would have happened if our family hadn't been there. I like to imagine that the protector would have been called, or the protector would have called it off and refunded them once he saw how utterly incapacitated they were. But they said they had a good time, and other than a few wafts of poo here and there, we did too. At the risk of going to hell, the whole thing was really funny in a I can't believe these series of events are happening kind of way. Still furious about their aunt, but it's a story to share at least. It was a terrific evening full of laughter. Happening to me. It was a terrific evening full of laughter, and my father's all-time best dad moment when the zombie had my mom cornered and he stepped forward thrusting his finger at the actress and yelled, "Hey zombie, get away from my wife." Somehow it worked. Oh, that's so cute. Number 32, man. Actual escape room employee. Oh boy, do I have tales. Pair of drunken female 20-somethings were dragged along to a group event, proceeded to demand DJ services, and cartwheel in skirts before collapsing to the ground and splaying out. Odd time. A room of ours had a one-hitter as past of our props. A room of ours has a one-hitter as past of our props. I don't understand that. A lady attempted to steal it by slowly moving it out of sight as conspicuously as possible. We insinuated that their next clue was inside the bowl, and she left out of embarrassment after she surrendered it to her group. Unbelievable. A customer opened a cryptex at the beginning of the game, figured out how the mechanism was set, then reset it to a secret word and closed it. I guessed penis. It was penis. Cased closed. Wow. Those are the oddest, but the job is full of odd behavior, strange social situations, and bizarre experiences. I guess he goes on to tell more. You see a lot of curious behavior when people forget that how they're presenting themselves. I personally find group social standing super interesting. Girls, you're right about half the time, and half of the guys come through are super dismissive of things you say. Bonus points if you sound dumb. Not if you are dumb, just if you say dumb shit. You're like, maybe even in a dumb way like a valley girl. Or if you speak with a questioning inflection, you know, because you can have the right answer written and proved, and people won't listen to you. It's incredible how much of a family dynamic you can see at play when the puzzles get tough. You see kids get praised, grounded, elated, yelled at. It's awful to see little Jimmy investigating a false bottom box and his dad angrily telling him to stop touching stuff. Aww. He's like right on the cusp of the solution. But because daddy thinks he knows everything, they're gonna get further and further away from it. People forget the rules about using very little force always. One of the rooms has a set of fake doors that don't open or go anywhere. I've watched a guy pry it off the wall before I could stop him. Each clue is tailored to where you are and how you are too, so I can have more fun with groups that have some humor, but I also type out these clues. More than twice, I've had to call into rooms because after asking for a clue, a woman will try to convince me to give them a clue for flashing the camera, but the clue is already on its way, And as fun as it sounds, I don't want to convince anyone they get clues by flashing me. I wear a beard, and for this job I know I now have a heavily curled mustache. People ask me if it's fake very often. Oh boy. Number 31. This is gonna get wild. Actual escape room employee here, and I have quite a bit of stories. What drives a group of people to get highly intoxicated and go do something that involves using your brain, I have no idea, but it happens a lot. It was a girl's 21st birthday, and everyone was drunk, but she was plastered. She ended up lying on the floor and not moving, and we didn't know if she was okay, so we sent someone to check on her, and she said she was just resting and laughed it off. Later, the same girl laughed so hard that she fell down and pissed all over the floor. Number 2. One guy had a dip in his mouth. He had some dip in his mouth and decided to spit in the corner of the room instead of in his bottle. Number 3. One lady completely threw up in a room and they all just kept laughing. When asked if she was okay by my coworker, she responded with, "Oh, I just throw up when I get really excited." Number 4. Two guys were doing a room and thought the next step they needed to do looked gay. So they ended up sitting down on the floor and staring around, since you aren't allowed to have your phone, for the last 30 minutes of the room. What does that mean, looked gay? Like they had to blow something? What are you talking about? He edits it because I guess people wanted more. Number 5. We've also had a lot of marital arguments and tests of friendship that did not end well. Side note, whatever you do, never do an escape room for a first date. You'll more than likely have a group of strangers with you, and it's also super awkward all around. On a brighter note, we've had some proposals in our escape rooms. I think of some more. I'll edit this post. Alright. That's what we need more of, are the proposals. Number 30, a little weird but mostly funny and heartwarming. At my escape room, it's a fairly common occurrence for the first generation kids to bring their parents from various countries: Vietnam, Bangladesh, Italy, Spain, and we have many people in this city with them to the room even though they don't speak English. I always feel bad for this reason because a lot of the puzzles directly depend on English wordplay and stuff like that, but they seem to have fun just being with their kids, so we all have fun together. One time a family came in that seemed to fit this profile. I'm not sure which country of origin they had, but they seemed Asian American to me. But I am an uneducated buffoon. Sorry. You'll never get to hear that sneeze. But I am an uneducated buffoon, so I couldn't tell you what language the parents spoke. They spoke very sparingly in their original language, and the children spoke in accented English. They went through the room, the children solving most of the puzzles, and the father following them around silently with a notepad and pen, nodding and writing things as they found clues. They got out, I took their picture, and they left, and everyone seemed to have a good time. When we cleaned up the room, we have to rip several of the pages off from the notepad, so people, that is the 5th sneeze in the middle of this damn thing. I feel like something may be in here. Or someone. What if I have to escape this room? Listen. They got out, I took their picture, and they left. And everyone seems to have a good time. When we cleaned up the room, we have to rip several pages off of the notepad so people can't see the clues or even the indents of the clues people had written down from previous games. I was looking forward to seeing what language the father had been writing in the whole time. I reset the room, then get the notepad, only to find the first page in perfect English. Oh my god. The note says, what if we can't get out? Do we die in here? Oh my god. I love this man and want to buy him lunch. I burst out laughing, realized the man was hilarious, and I wanted to chase him down and take his family to lunch. Then I flipped to the next page. Day 56. Our rations are running low. We fear for our lives. We are thinking of cannibalism. What the hell? Come on now. He says it was my best experience working there, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. My racist ass got owned in the funniest and most heartwarming way possible. It's not racist by looking at somebody and assuming that perhaps they don't natively speak English. I feel like something is happening to me. I could die in this list. And then who will click the upload button? Number 29. Some dude was eating this chick's ass when we checked on them. Somebody said, and then you kept checking on them, and then he said yes. Somebody else said, my man. Come on, man. Number 28. Oh my god. Why get into this thing to do that? Ugh. Number 28. I own an escape room, and I once guided a couple into one of our more moody ambiance rooms, and they told me we would totally base a sex dungeon off of this vibe. See, you even have a desk in there to get started. Also, you see people's true parenting skills. My favorite quote is from a lovely family that went into a room, and 5 minutes after, the father gathered his overeager children and told them, "You're being assholes." I love it. We're in a huge tech area, and we got a lot of corporate groups and some very important people. A week ago, we had a Fortune 500 CEO through, and he walked up to my staff and started bragging about his 50,000 Instagram followers, basically trying to impress college kids. We definitely giggled about that one, especially when we looked him up, and he had like 300 followers. But hey, he killed it in the room. Well, number 27. I worked at an escape room place for a year in grad school. I learned very quickly to give thorough warnings at the start of each show that breaking things, assaulting actors, this was trapped in a room with a zombie, and sexual harassment were not cool. Yes, literally had guys hit on the fucking zombie mid-show. Well, I mean, how nice were them titties, you see what I'm saying? You can't just be like, oh, I'm a zombie girl, and then your titties are like huge, you know. Hannah tries to be a zombie, you're gonna have like problems. I'd be like, kill me right now, you know what I mean? Perhaps the most interesting phenomenon I noticed was just how much personality factors into the teamwork involved. I've seen a lot of shy people or people otherwise lacking in confidence be completely on the right track, only to be steamrolled by the loudest, more confident, strongest personalities in the room. Maybe it shouldn't have come as so much of a surprise, but I watched perfectly smart, reasonable people actively ignored for their good points, logic, and strong evidence in service of a cult of personality or charismatic players. The whole thing felt like a depressing study on group dynamics. Well, you should already know the way the world works. Number 26. For some people, they like to put the flashlight that one of their rooms has in their mouth when they know they aren't the only ones who have used them. Some people put them between their legs, in the crack of their ass as a joke, and not to mention just roll around on the ground a majority of the time. Ew. Besides that, I've seen relationships almost fall apart. One couple insisted on going into our most challenging room, just the two of them, and we let them know that this was probably not going to be a good idea or enjoyable for them, but they didn't really care. You could tell the guy wanted to impress the girl, but both of them were dumber than rocks. I had to sit for the entire hour watching them literally get nowhere through the first puzzle, arguing with each other, and then sitting in moments of awkward silence. I offered to give them help and said I would just tell them if they wanted at this point, but they refused. Also, people love to not listen to our disclosure we have to give before we send groups into the rooms and kick in our air vents and break through our drywall and ceiling when we specifically say not to put tape that says not a part of the game in bright yellow colors. All right. Number 25, baby. Finally, my time to shine. We had a group that was evidently high. They weren't disruptive or anything, so we just briefed them and took them to their room. So far, so good. We have a camera and microphones inside the room. That way we know what hints to give out. Another important thing is that the room they were at had some small fountain in it, and since the particular aesthetic of this room was dusty, that water was filthy. I'm talking murky, brown yellow mud water. At one point, one of the guys says he's thirsty and proceeds to stick his mouth into the fountain steam and take a hefty gulp of the shit water. We spend a second of shock, guffaw, and tell them that drinking the fucking water isn't part of the puzzle. The guy reads the hint and just says, "That's all right." He proceeds to do the same thing 4 times. And drank the whole fountain. Small fountain, but still like a gallon of mud water. We've had more inconvenient things happen, but this still remains the worst thing I've seen. Oh my bing bong. Somebody said this is so much worse than the sex ones. I don't even know how to feel. This is the first one that's got me. Holy, I guess the list starts now, you know what I mean? Number 24. I work at a different escape game and have had customers drop kick doors, vomit all over the place, but the one that takes the cake is a couple that booked our latest game around midnight. After I did my intro and left the room, he proceeded to bend her over and prop and take her from behind. I called in several times to no avail, so for the next hour I had to listen to them grunt and moan. Can't even tell those guys to get a room, they're already in one, says someone responding. Tenzin Cat says, "Yep, that they, in all fairness, paid for." Maybe these people just like people watching is the weird part. But how do they have no fear that this crap isn't going to get out? You know what I mean? Like on the internet or something. Because they know they're being recorded. Maybe they get kicks. Maybe that's how they get off. Number 23. Escape room employee here. In one of our rooms, we have an actor pose as a spy. And the people in the room had to solve a case to figure out who the traitor was. After they finished the puzzle, it turns out the traitor was actually the spy the actor was playing. What? What do you mean? The spy then pulls an obvious prop gun, orange tip and whatnot, and the group had to defuse a fake bomb. One of the groups that did this room was a police squad that was doing this to Bond. When the actor pulled the fake gun and said some cheesy line, the actor was promptly tackled and restrained until the cops realized it was all a game. Nice. I like that. That's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. Number 2. Went to an escape the room with some friends on a Friday. My one friend took his shirt off 4 times. The crazier thing that happened, though, was how we solved it. We were supposed to get the word Waterloo from a series of clues and use a dictionary to find the Battle of Waterloo, which was in 1815. Use the 4-digit number to get a key that let us out of the room. Well, we got the word Eterloy instead of Waterloo. We assumed that it was an anagram and we used a word scrambler to get aerolite from it. Using the dictionary, we found that aerolite was invented in 1815. Well, we got the key and confidently told the employee how we figured out. He was dumbfounded. I'm not exactly sure what the odds of solving the puzzle like that were, but if someone could solve that for us, that'd be dank. My friends and I have been trying to figure it out since it happened. That is insane. That is insane. Number 21. I'll vote that. I had a friend who found a rubber duck with a dick, which was purely decoration, and thought it was a key, so spent a good chunk of time trying to stick the duck's dick into everything. Why would they even put something like that in there? You know? If it's not a clue, I got a clue right here. Number 20. Actual escape room employee here. The weirdest thing I saw was a young couple in our hardest room. They asked for our hardest, who, when they couldn't solve the puzzle, took off their shoes and sat down and started talking. Okay. When I would send them hints to get them to start playing again, the lady would call me a commie. It was weird. For example, the lady would pick up a red clue paper and goes with a pyramid puzzle. They would stare at it, then put it to the side, and I'd type a hint. The red papers go with the pyramid. She looks up at the screen and goes, "We were getting to that, commie." I'm not a communist. The room isn't communist themed in the slightest. I like this guy. It seems like he doesn't even understand the idea of, like, the reason that he's getting the commie line is because people are that opposed to being watched sometimes. Ridiculous. Number 19. It was only a one-off escape room I designed for a university society event, but one guy was so desperate to find clues he tried to disassemble the wooden casing around a radiator. It scared me because I didn't own the room we were doing this in, so I could have been in serious trouble. This guy. Number 18. Escape room employee here. I've had about 150 groups in my room, and the weirdest are the ones where people solve the main puzzle and just don't leave the room. They have found the key or device they need to just leave, but just wander around clueless. Oh Jesus, how can I forget this one? A little 12-year-old kid came up to me before the room and asks, "Are you in the room with us?" I replied, "No, but I'll be in the control room," to which he replied, "Okay, good, so we can torture you when you don't give us any good hints?" What? When they were in the room, he proceeded to say, "Give us some good hints, you rotten child." What? Another one. Some guy was convinced something was hidden under a chair that was screwed to the floor. He started kicking it. Had to stop the game and go into the room to tell them he should stop doing that. One time a guy brought his own flashlight. Had to tell him that that is against the rules of the game. One time a guy ripped the green laser out of its very secured spot in the room and had to stop the game and tell him to put it back. Had a girl freak out because the music. Wow. And got her out of there ASAP. Yeah. You really get a taste of the layers of society inside these rooms. I have way more stories. Come on, man. Wow. Can you imagine a girl just freaking out because of the music? Like, it's that scary. These are the type of people who read creepypastas and can't handle it. These are the type of people that go to No Sleep and upvote those posts because they believe they're real. And then I was walking down the hallway and I just pet my dog because he was in the hallway, and when I got into my room the dog was on the bed. What the fuck? And then I looked at my hallway and there was no dog out there. Oh my god. What? How did dog? Then how did dog? Number 17. I'm not an escape room employee, but I asked this exact same question when I went to an escape room a few months ago. The guy working there said a man pulled out a pocket knife and started cutting the carpet out, convinced that there were clues under there. What the bing bong? Number 16. I did a space station themed room We got paired with a woman and her adult sons. The sons did just fine, but the mom was clueless. There was a prop fire extinguisher on the wall that she was certain had to be for something. For an hour, she wandered around aimlessly carrying a fire extinguisher. Aww. Number 15. I don't work in an escape room. God, so much. Keep sneezing. I don't work in an escape room. I work at breakout games. The hell is that? But it's the same deal. I had a couple in handcuffs, blindfolded. They started feeling each other up until I said something over the intercom. Just a reminder that I can see you guys from 4 cameras in the room. If you need any hints, let me know. We had a customer try to put his finger in an outlet because he thought a key was in it. That isn't his fault because there are rooms that do this, but I was scared half to death. I don't understand why an escape room would put anything important in a place that normally is a hazard. Well, I don't know. Bing bong. Number 14, we did an escape room one time where there were jars with several limbs in them. When we got out, we commented to the guy running it that we found it interesting that the jars were cement glued shut. Cement glued to the shelf and the shelf screwed to the wall. Seemed like overkill to us. Well, apparently the reason that they had to do this was because another group had managed to pry the jars away from the shelf and open the jars. This is about when they realized watching the cameras that something was going on. So they rushed to see what's up, and he hears, "Hey guys, we have to drink the water." The nasty part was the water was out of the local river a few blocks away, just to get that dirty, murky look. Man, what if this was an escape room in Flint, Michigan? Oh, he did not just go there, 'cause Flint, Michigan don't got no clean water. Okay, Yale. Number 13, employee here. One group gave up after 5 minutes and decided to drink alcohol for the rest of the game. They paid £120 for the game. Damn. Number 12, the guy gave some rules to us when we were doing the room. The first rule he gave was please keep your clothes on. Aw, there must be a lot of bing bonging going on in there. Number 11, people have tried to climb through the ceiling tiles on multiple occasions. We now have to mention in the pre-game spiel that it's not necessary to climb through the ceiling tiles. My job often reminds me of this scene in The Office. Oh, I know the scene. You all know the scene. People laugh at the things we mention, but anything we mention that you don't have to do has probably been attempted before. One of my coworkers said that a group started getting really destructive in the room to the point where they literally threw the computer on the floor to see if something was hidden inside. There wasn't anything hidden inside. They needed to use a special magnifying glass to read the monitor. We abruptly removed them from the room after that. They actually ended up coming back another day and were extremely well behaved. I guess they learned their lesson. You mean you didn't have to charge them for the computer? The files are in the computer. I love this reference. Really do. I really do. I'm sorry. My God, I'm dying here. Number 10. Former escape room, not escape the room. Employees, everything everyone else has said, absolutely believable. People are unbelievably destructive. I've seen people rip out outlets out of walls, dismantle furniture and electronics, pull vent covers off of air ducts. To be honest, like, why do you even have shit in that room? Do you know what I'm saying? If you have shit in that room and it's not, and you know, I hate to be in defense of the people here because people are crazy and pretty stupid, but if you're gonna have an escape the room type deal, this thing needs to be a concrete box. The only thing that you need to have as far as openings in this room are openings that make sure that these people don't suffocate, so that there's like flow of air going into that room. And what that means is you need to probably structure a very well secured air vent, maybe in the corner of the ceiling of one of the rooms, that would make it so that it can't be reached. Nothing in that room should be something that people, I want to say, aren't going to want to touch, you know, or isn't a clue that's pertinent. Because if you got a bookshelf, people going to be moving the bookshelf. If you got some kind of grate, you know what I mean, like a vent that's on the ground, people are going to be ripping that thing off the wall. I mean, just expect it. Because in their brain, they're just like, there's a key in there. There's something right behind there. You know what I mean? They're going to be looking for that. So, I don't know, either that or have the whole, you know, you're not supposed to touch anything rule, I guess, which is weird. They pull vent covers off of air ducts, physically bend back file cabinet drawers to get around the lock. Huh. They'll write all over clues, even deliberately go against the rules you set because they think you were trying to trick them. We had a group reset the password on our computer, so we had to wipe it and reinstall everything. Lesson learned from the game makers, always have an administrative account. A woman decided to literally throw every non-clue glass object into a trash can, leaving me with 10 minutes to reset the room and clean up the mountain of broken glass. A favorite was, she said not to use the fire extinguisher unless there's a fire. And this says, warning, flammable. But the weirdest thing is the waves of groupthink. It's noticeable to everyone. My boss even warned me about it my first day. A meaningless picture might be hanging on the wall, completely ignored by every group for months. Until suddenly you have a wave of 10 groups in a row who take it off the wall and dismantle it because they become convinced it means something. They'll draw new conclusions from a note that have been drawn before, and the game makers never intended. They'll follow the same incorrect process for solving a puzzle that we haven't seen before, or make the same arithmetic decryption errors. They'll misread things the same way, even mishear audio clues the same way, as in repeat the same nonsense words to describe what they heard. They'll physically destroy the same props, locks, or set pieces game after game, and then it will stop, and no one will know, or no one will do the thing again for months. Maybe it's the confirmation bias. Maybe it's little factors like how I deliver my speech that day, or the weather. I don't know. But it's definitely, undeniably weird. Number 9. Just started working at an escape room, and we have rules about not jumping out of the windows and not sticking keys into wall sockets because it has all happened before. Well, let's face it, if there's a window in your escape room and I jump out of it and I escape, I win. You know what I'm talking about? Somebody said it's like they're playing a point and click adventure game, and they just start using random inventory items on scenery in the hopes that something works. You use copper wire on houseplant? Huh? Number 8, we give people a box for them to bring in so they can store their belongings while they play. One time, about halfway in, an inquisitive older man started going through their own stuff. He pulled out a purse and shouts, "Guys, I found some... This is our stuff, isn't it?" It was hilarious. It was hilarious. There's some spoilers in this one, so if you don't want the unknown room spoilers, then here's your opportunity to click away. I'm sure this won't take me more than 40 seconds to read, so just jump ahead 40 seconds. My friends and I did the unknown room, spoiler, which is a horror Saw-themed escape room. At one point, the phone in the room rang, and our friend picked it up. He said that we have to step away from him while they talk, so we can't hear. Weird. Okay. After he gets off the phone, he starts clucking like a chicken and circles the table in the middle. The employee mentions something about sacrificing one member to get a hint, and we thought this was it. So like some crackhead amateur cult, we all started clucking like chickens and circling about the table with him. He was just fucking with us. I like that. People were complaining. Wow. So you added the spoiler tag. Number 6, guys. Like most rooms, we have cameras all throughout the game so we can keep an eye on players, give hints based on what the puzzle, what puzzle they are on, and watch out for their shenanigans. So ours is a prison theme escape, and at one point there are 3 cells that need to be opened in order. One of them has a live actor in it that messes with you the entire time, even after you rescue him. Anyway, each cell is pretty much the same, with a toilet, shelf, and a few other items. One guy was pretty drunk and repeatedly put bones and other shit in his pants to get a laugh out of his roommates, but they stopped paying attention to him, his teammates, but they stopped paying attention to him while trying to actually make their escape. He must have gotten bored being so drunk and not caring about the escape room. He leaves the main group and heads back to the prison cell area. I'm watching on the camera and see that he's not with the rest of the group, so I start clicking around trying to find him. Sure enough, he's in a jail cell hovering over the toilet taking a piss. There's no plumbing. There's definitely just props. We shut the game down on the spot, and his group was not happy with him at all. After they left, I had the pleasure of soaking up his piss with a mop little by little. And it was after that night we added the anyone visibly intoxicated will not be allowed to participate rule. To be honest, I don't know why this isn't a room in all of them. You know what I mean? I guess the way that you guys think of it is like paying customers, but the way you got to think of it is like drunk people are going to give you a headache even if they're not pissing, shitting, or vomiting. You know what I'm talking about? So it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the hassle. Number 5. At our establishment, we have a room called Jailbreak with fake doors toward the very end. Fake doors. Come get your fake doors. It's covered with plywood. This girl takes one look at it, fuck me, and says, "Jailbreak," and charges the door full force and breaks through. She broke through, dude. She's a genius. She's like, can you imagine just like a jail break? I like this one. Who is this girl? Number 4. Someone cleared all the boxes and locks off of a table in the corner, laid down on it, and went to sleep until the group escaped. Now that's thinking with your noodle. Somebody said, reminds me of my group projects in class. Oh my god. Oh my god. Number 3. I went to a space-themed escape room, and there was a spacesuit, and I put it on. It didn't help us solve anything. When we finished, I asked, do people normally put the suit on? The guy says, it's not against the rules, but you're the first person to do it. Well, that's good, because then it's not, like, gross. Put the spacesuit on. Somebody said, can't blame you. Somebody else replies, yeah, that actually sounds like a legit step to solve the puzzle. Anyway, somebody else replies, he's the only one who survives when they complete the puzzle and the whole station rapidly depressurizes. Poem for your sprog. But could I, he wondered, and should I? He thought. It's present, he pondered, and surely I ought. It's clearly included, and why would it be? If not with a purpose intended for me. Perhaps it's a pointer, perhaps it's a clue. I'll never be sure, but I'll never know when I do. Never know, just says I'll know when I do. I'll do it, he whispered. I'll do it, he cried. He sat in his suit, and he watched as they died. Bing bong. You know, there's like a lot of procedures involved in making sure a suit is like nice and ready, and that the life support. Come on now. I don't think that there was just oxygen in that suit. It was a bullshit prop suit, you assholes. Going for a ride on some stupid imaginary adventure. Number 2, started working in an escape room. Around 3 months ago. This is not really a weird thing, but more of a cute one. One day, a dude called and told, fuck, I am having trouble breathing. One day, a dude called and told us as he was proposing to his girlfriend that they were both huge fans of escape rooms. So my boss and I came up with a cool idea of how we could change our escape room to make it more romantic, and that at the end of the escape they wouldn't find the key of the room but a ring in a champagne bottle. We also told the dude the solution of some of the puzzles to make sure that they would actually, come to the end of the room. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen, the way these two worked together in the room and how excited the dude was when they found the ring and the champagne at the end and he asked her to marry her. They were both in tears. So were my boss and I, and she said yes. And after that, they stayed with us for a bit before heading their way. It was still one of my favorite evenings. And one of the reasons I love my newfound job so much. That's so cute. Boop, 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 boop. Somebody said, you have to agree to marry me so we can escape the room because of the implication. You see? Number 1, actual escape room employee here. One couple couldn't agree on how to solve the puzzles and broke up inside the room. Another couple had the guy surprise the girl with a proposal. Another couple got a horror-themed escape room and just sat on the floor and cuddled. They didn't look scared. They didn't bother to solve anything either. They just cuddled with the creepy props and sound effects surrounding them. I guess they couldn't find a creepy motel to cuddle in. What the hell is this? The stupidest thing ever. I love the vibe of this place. You wanna just go? They're like goth. They're like emo as hell. They show up and they're just like, let's just hold each other in here. Yeah. Take some pictures. So stupid. Like it's a set. Like it's a set for them to go fucking take pictures in. Guys, forgive me. When I started this list, I sneezed about 16 times, and then my nose immediately filled, so I couldn't breathe. And then reading became an issue, so forgive me. Reviewer asks a question about product safety and gets sued. Wow. Well, as if anybody has money anymore because YouTube keeps taking away ad revenue with a bing bong. I almost opened this up, but I can't do that if it's safe for work. I mean, not safe for work. Guys, I love you to death. I apologize for this list. Lexaeus deserves better. So what I'll do tonight is a confession podcast. And I'm also probably going to stream Pray right now. So, love you to death. Sorry about this. Let's go see if there's another list that I can read tonight. What's something you actually don't want to do, but social norm tells you to do it anyway? Well, fuck that. Truckers of Reddit, have you ever been in a situation where you needed to utilize the runaway lane when going downhill? Was this a trucker that almost fucked up and crashed or something? When was the last time you cried and why? Sounds pretty good. We'll do that one later. When was the last time you cried and why? Alright guys, love you. That was weird and I apologize, but it'll get better. And I'll see you soon. I'll be streaming or something. Date bayo. Bye.